Hello, welcome along to Premier League Today. The derby weekend is upon us and, well, for me and Phil, it's like Christmas has come early. There arguably hasn't been a bigger Manchester derby in the Premier League era. It's Jose versus Pep, the Reds versus the Blues, United versus City. We discuss all you need to know in part one coming up. Yes, welcome along. Such a packed show, haven't we? So many big games to look at this weekend. If you do have any questions, though, you can get in touch with me at Matt Hollanday on Twitter, and we'll do our best, if we've got any time in the show, to answer as many as we possibly can. Phil Neville here, obviously, alongside me as always. Let's talk about the Champions League results from midweek.
Yeah.
Another good week for the English clubs, wasn't it?
Well, it's been a successful campaign so far in the group stage. I think what we've shown as a Premier League is that the Premier League now has got a great chance of winning the Champions League. The goal scoring has been phenomenal. I mean, the standout, obviously, is Liverpool. 7 goals at home against Spartak Moscow. I always think when you play a Russian side at this time of the year, you're always going to get goals because their league's just finishing, it's breaking up. But there was some fantastic performances and all our teams are through, so it's great strength in the Premier League.
Some potentially eye-watering last 16 ties as well, with some of the names that have got through as well. Yeah,
I mean, there's some big clubs in there. Chelsea, I just wonder whether they've slipped up a little bit by finishing second, because they can draw the big boys. But look, come February, when the second or the last 16 starts, the Premier League's going to have 5 teams in there, and we're going to be playing against the best teams in the world.
We certainly are. Man City, that's our first look, isn't it, today? Man City and Man United, but they lost their first game of the season.
And Pep said it was a good thing, that it's good for the team, good for the club, that they've probably just keep their feet on the ground. I'm not so sure. It was always going to be one of those games, sandwiched just before the derby and the West Ham game on the Sunday, long travel to Donetsk, that he was going to rotate, and he did rotate, and he played a couple of young players, and they did lose. But I just wonder whether that gives United a little bit of confidence.
Really?
We're clutching at straws.
No, but you are clutching
I
at
said
straws.
last week that I thought City could go through the season undefeated, but obviously they lost the game after.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the lineups then. It's the game at 4:30 on Sunday. It's at Old Trafford, of course. United on the back of that big win, wasn't it, against Arsenal last week in the Premier League, against City. Same team for United, do you think? Obviously, no Pogba.
No
so
Pogba,
that's the one change.
I mean, it's when he got sent off against Arsenal, and my initial reaction was that it wasn't a sending off, but obviously in hindsight, my disappointment was that he was going to be missing from a game of this magnitude. Someone that has missed a lot of big games for United. I think United will go
back three.
Back three, 100%. I think it suits Lindelof, who is in great form, and I think Rocco's come back in and give him good balance on the left-hand side. It's this position, really, that's up for grabs for me. Is it going to be Herrera, or could it be Fellaini? Fellaini's had an injury. Jose said last week that he's got a chance. I've got a feeling he'll go with Fellaini. I just think that with the height and the lack of height in the Man City team, I just think that Herrera's not in good form at the moment. He doesn't seem to be in his plans, and I just think he'll go with Fellaini. And up front, Martial and Lukaku, I think he'll go Rashford.
That would be harsh on Martial, though, wouldn't it?
It will be harsh. He scored again against at the weekend. I just think that Rashford sat out for a couple of games. He played against Moscow in the week. He looks fresh. I think he's got his freshness back. And I think with Lukaku, Rashford and Lingard, I think he's more disciplined than Martial, and that's the key. Martial, brilliant going forward, but I can see Rashford being a little bit more disciplined in what will be a very tactical game.
That's interesting, because if you talk about discipline, then actually Herrera probably brings a bit more discipline to the team than Paul Pogba does. But they're missing out the other way, aren't they?
Yeah, I just wonder whether, if David Silva was fit, I just wonder whether Herrera would do a similar job to what he did on Eden Hazard, you know, man mark. But with Silva, allegedly,
will he do it against Kevin De Bruyne? A similar sort of job.
Yeah, he could do, but I just wonder whether De Bruyne might be, he's a little bit bigger, more physical, well, better suited to Fellaini, maybe. I'm not so sure. It could be Gundogan as well, but is David Silva fit? There's talks of mind games. We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, that's simply because Lacazette apparently wasn't going to be fit last week and was fit for the game against United. Who's missing the most, do you think? Who's going to miss the most? Is it going to be Pogba, United, Silva for Man City? Who's the biggest loss?
I think Pogba. I think Pogba because of the ability to go from defence, where I think United will defend deep, and the ability to get to the other 18-yard box in a quick space of time. I think Pogba, Lingard, Rashford and Lukaku have got real speed. And I think United, in the big games this season, Chelsea and Liverpool, have missed his character on the pitch. Look, like I say, I think in a game of this magnitude, you need Paul Pogba.
I guess when you look at the options, Man City have probably got more options to change it, haven't they, with David Silva being out. You know, Bernardo Silva could come in, he could play Jesus, he could play Sane a little bit further up and probably, you know, possibly play Gundogan, couldn't he? So they have got more options probably than United to replace him.
I mean, we were having this debate before. I've got a feeling it could be that Gabriel Jesus playing instead of Aguero in this type of game, unless he leaves I think he'll go with Gundogan and De Bruyne, and Fernandinho, and I just think that will be the front line. He'll definitely play with these two wide because he'll want to pin United's wing backs really back into almost like a back five, and the full backs Walker and Delph will have the ball all the time. So it's a big call. Will it be Jesus or will it be Aguero? It's a big call for Pep Guardiola.
Just going back to Paul Pogba, let's have a look at what they possibly miss him, because he's been a driving force, hasn't he? Particularly in the recent weeks as well. And the game against Arsenal, he was outstanding again, wasn't he?
He was. In the big games, you need players with that little bit different. And you know, you can talk about the Arsenal mistakes, but with Pogba, what you've got somebody that's got the ability to counter-attack quickly like this. This is absolutely fantastic. Look at the ground that he's eating up, the strength in his legs. The pass from Lingard was just behind him, but he went round Koscielny as if he wasn't there. He out-muscled him, he out-strengthened him, and he had the class to find the pass. And I think since he's come back into the team, or since
that's the tackle, and the reason why he's missing the derby. Was it a red for you?
It was a red. You can talk about Bellerin's tackling position, but studs down the.
Well, I think the fact that United didn't appeal the decision, it probably suggests that they felt it was as well.
And Andre Mariner, I think the biggest disappointment is he missed the derby. I think that was the biggest disappointment, but it was a red card. I'm not sure it was deliberate, but it was foul, it was aggressive, and he can have no complaints.
Let's have a look at his stats then, with and without him in the team. Now, they've played 8 with him, just 7 without him, but they've yet to get beat when he's been in the side. The win percentage is 87.5%, almost 3 points per game. And the goals as well. They score much more goals with him in the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wing column. Look, he wins normally. Every time Paul Pogba plays, United win. 87.5% of the time, United win. And it's not just the wins, it's the fact that when he plays, United score. They go from a team that can score 1 or 2 to a team that can score 3, 4s and 5s. And he will be a massive loss. I just wonder whether that will determine the outcome of the game.
That physical side of him as well.
The physical side of him, it's his running power that's so impressive. Matic, Herrera, Matic, Fellaini, they're good, solid midfield players, but they haven't got the athleticism to get from defence, where Josie likes them to defend, up to support Lukaku within the space of 2 or 3 seconds. And this boy, this season, I think he's been sensational.
Yeah, they actually did that pretty well, though, didn't they, against Arsenal last week, that counter-attacking. And Lingard made a big difference, didn't he?
Lingard made a massive difference, because normally in that position where Lingard is, it's normally Juan Mata or Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan's got a little bit more energy, but Lingard is a running power. And I think when people talk about a United team away from home, I think United, what the tactic was at Arsenal last week was almost defend with young Rocco, Lindelof, Smalling, Matic, and half of Valencia, but attack with these 4. And when you've got Lingard and Pogba, you've got the ability to, say, if Martial goes out wide and Lukaku goes out wide, you can actually get Pogba and Lingard up into forward positions really well. And I think what they will have added to the game since Jesse Lingard got in there was the ability to actually press teams like this. And you talk about work rate. That is Jesse Lingard, and that is Romelu Lukaku. United have basically got everybody behind the ball in this situation. They're defending deep. Arsenal have got possession.
But they've got the pace to get from back to front quickly.
But like this, they clear the ball, but they've got this ability. Look at Lingard. He presses Bellerin. He presses Peter Cech. And
he presses again.
He goes and presses again. And when we get to this point here now, and we talked about United, this is United. Look at the 4 attacking players, and you've got Matic sat in front and the back 4.5, 5. So
his pressing has actually allowed them to get Pogba and Lukaku further up the pitch, hasn't it? And his pressure, actually, Petr Cech ends up kicking it out of play.
He forces a mistake, and it's just pure. And we've got to take this back, because this was the mistake for the United goal, for the goal that they scored. This was Jesse Lingard from that position there. Normally you say you press from the front. It's your centre forward that sets the tone. But actually in this game, it was Jesse Lingard.
Yeah.
He goes to Xhaka, And then he continues his run.
Well, he was the one in the middle, and Martial and Lukaku split, didn't they?
And now all of a sudden, Martial and Lukaku are split wide. But this is the man that's actually setting the tone. And if that is Mkhitaryan, if that is Juan Mata, he hasn't got the energy to do that. And this is what he forces again.
The big question then is, has he got the quality, isn't it? That's the difference. You know, once he's made that error for Arsenal, he's put the work in to win the ball back. Has he got the quality?
Well, I think what we've seen in the last 2 games, he has got the quality. And this is now why I think with Lingard and Pogba, they're just devastating. You've got the old Manchester United teams used to counter-attack with unbelievable speed. Look.
It's a great touch from Martial.
It's a great touch from Martial, but look at the speed in which they won the ball back and then got the goal. Again.
Same again.
This is the highlight of, and we're not going to actually look at the people that were involved. That is Jesse Lingard there.
I think we should highlight Lukaku as well and his role in the game, because I thought he was impressive against Arsenal. You know, you talk about a big centre forward and you're looking for a bit more from him at times, but I thought his hold-up play was very good.
His hold-up play, the ability to bring people in when the ball came up to him, something that we've probably criticised him in the past for, but this touch is fantastic. Comes up to him, first time to Martial.
You see, when he hasn't got as much time to think about it, it's one touch. He seems to be better, doesn't he?
He's better. And you talk about United countering now, and again, Jesse Lingard was the backman. He was the last person behind David De Gea. Now look at the ground he's made up.
And in fairness to Lukaku as well, he set him on the way inside his own half, and he's the one trying to get on the end of the box. I mean, we probably didn't see that from him.
There's Martial, and there's Paul Pogba. So you're talking about them 4 again. And if we take it to Sunday, they will probably have Martial or Rashford, Lukaku and Lingard. But who's going to play the Pogba role? And you can attack with 3, but you'll not be as effective as attacking with 4.
Well, they haven't got anybody, have they?
No. Fellaini can get forward, but he doesn't do it with the speed.
Could he potentially play Martial and Rashford? You'll say Martial or Rashford. Could he do that?
He could do if he really wants to go for it. I mean, this is Lingard again. Normally, Lingard finds himself on the back all the time.
Lukaku's hold-up play again. Starting the move.
Really good. And I think this will be something that will be worrying Pep in terms of United. Because look at United now. Look how many players they've got behind the ball. Yeah. And this is the goal scorer.
Yeah.
That's the goal scorer, Jesse Lingard.
This is where we talk about the hold-up play being important, though.
Yeah.
Because when it comes up to you, it's got to stick, hasn't it? Or you've got to find a teammate.
Do you know, if you're Romelu Lukaku there and say Juan Mata's playing, there's no way that Juan Mata will be able to make that distance up to support. When the ball comes up to you and you're playing against 2 Arsenal defenders, you do need support. And I think this is what United, with Lingard, do so well. Rocco plays it into Matic and then look straight away.
One touch again.
Look at that. Runners straight away. And Pogba knows he's going down there, and Lingard knows that that ball's going to come there because the space is there, but they eat up the ground. And then all of a sudden,
they're away. They're
a 1v1, 2v2, and we've seen this from Pogba already. And it just deserved the goal, and it was like the United of old when they used to attack through Carlos Tevez, Ronaldo, Giggs, Van Nistelrooy. It was special.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it, if he does go Rashford, Martial, and tries to use that pace. But with it being at Old Trafford...
Look, I think when you're looking at this, and you're thinking to yourself, how can you get more speed in the team when Pogba's out? The only answer is to play Rashford and is to play Martial and Lukaku and maybe just drop Jesse Lingard back a little bit into the Pogba role. Pogba doesn't have that much defensive responsibility, and he has got the ability to get up and join. So if Jose was really brave, go with all 3.
Talking of Lukaku, let's have a look at his stats, because his work rate has improved year upon year.
Yeah.
And this season, he's running almost a kilometre more than he was at Everton 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, he's just come off the back of a real barren run. Is it 1 in 12, something like that? He scored the other night to dispel that. But the thing that United fans have noticed in this barren spell is that his running stats and his energy on the field has been absolutely fantastic.
More sprints as well.
More sprints, and I think he's become a better player since he's gone to Man United. And
his all-round game you talked about.
His all-round game, yeah. He's going to score goals, Matt, but his all-round game in terms of chasing back, getting into position, being more disciplined, has been fantastic.
If they are to win United, they're going to have their goalkeeper at his very best again, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, against Arsenal, he was incredible, wasn't he?
Well, he almost won them the game, really. He got the man of the match. And although United, I thought, deserved the game, it was David De Gea that produced the best moments of the game. We've raved about Pogba and Lingard, but it was David De Gea that... What did Jose say after the game? He's the best goalkeeper in the world now.
Do you think he is?
Well, I've worked with him, and the biggest quality that I think he had is his temperament. He never, ever looks flustered. He makes saves look so easy. You know, that palm, sometimes keepers can palm.
He's very
out in
agile,
front.
isn't he? I mean, he's obviously come through that period where his size maybe came under scrutiny and he wasn't very good at set pieces and corners and he got bullied a little bit, but he's come through that. His shot stopping's never been in doubt, has it?
Never been in doubt his shots, but he's an all-round good goalkeeper. I mean, this is fantastic.
That's the best, isn't it?
And then
that
to
double
go
save.
with your feet, people don't realise how good that was, really. But when he first joined United, he was so thin, he was weak, he was poor on crosses, he got bullied. But I just think it's probably one of the best signings that Sir Alex Ferguson's ever made.
When we looked at the stats and we were trying to work out who's the biggest team, Man United actually physically are a much bigger team, aren't they, than Man City, by about 6 centimetres per person on average. Is that something that United could look at this weekend?
Well, set pieces are going to be key in this game for Manchester United. I think David Moyes said it last week. He said there's a weakness in the Man City team. He didn't tell us what, but then on the day of the game when they were taking corners and free kicks, it was pretty obvious. It was pretty obvious that the weaknesses were from corners, and because West Ham were a big side, they put a lot of pressure. They had good movement, and there was just a little bit of disorganisation in the setup.
Absolutely. No, looking forward to it. That's a bit of Man United. What about Man City? Let's hear from their captain, Vincent Kompany.
I think it's definitely the most intense spell I've been involved in my City career, but I remember we didn't get beat until late in December in the year we won the title for the first time. So it's not something that hasn't happened yet, and we all know how difficult it was in the end to win that title. So I'm extremely cautious, not negatively cautious, but just extremely focused, I would say, on what has to happen rather than what has already happened. The key thing for us to be successful this season is to, and I really believe in that, is to make sure that injuries like happened to John Stones don't happen, injuries like happened to me don't happen. I'm not saying that you can avoid them, but even if at that time people are playing less than they want, just the fact that we can decide who plays when makes you a much stronger team. I know managers love to downplay it. No, it's not about the derby, it's about the league and stuff. I think it's rubbish. It's all about the derby, and I don't care what they say. I don't care who says it as well. It's a special game. It means a lot more to the people in Manchester than any other game, and therefore it should mean a lot more to the players as well. If you're physically able to do 110% for every other game, you'll do 120%. It's not the managers who decide, this is the psychology of the players. That's how we're wired. It's normal.
Such an inspirational captain, isn't he, for Man City, Vincent Kompany. It's funny because at the start of the season, everyone was saying without Vincent Kompany, Man City have got absolutely no chance of the title, and yet they've proved so far this season they can cope without him.
Yeah, they have coped without him. But I think we're going into a crucial period now where Stones is out for a little bit. Mangala last Sunday didn't look the most convincing against West Ham. I think he's becoming more and more crucial. And you listen to him speak, he is a born leader. I managed to spend half an hour with him a couple of weeks ago. He is an inspirational type of guy. And I love what he said then about the managers trying to play down this derby a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's be right, it's the biggest match of the century. It's the biggest Manchester derby ever. And let's just enjoy it.
Yeah, because if United don't win, all of a sudden, probably the title's done and dusted, isn't it?
Yeah,
at this stage?
I think it's just plain as that. It's as plain as that, where if City go 11 points clear, you cannot see how they're going to slip up. And if United win the game, then all of a sudden, could there be a City wobble? So it's so much riding on this game.
Yeah, I mentioned the height difference between the two sides, and we were looking at sort of weaknesses. I mean, actually, Vincent Kompany's one of the bigger players, isn't he, for City? But if there is a weakness for Man City,
We've had to dig deep.
We had to work very hard to find one. It is perhaps from crosses from set pieces, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've got to say first, they don't concede many corners and they probably don't concede many crosses. So every cross that goes into the box, there seems to be an opportunity. And I
They
think
actually concede the least crosses, corners per game, sorry.
I would have thought it's something that they don't practice that often because they're never in this type of situation where teams get that deep. I mean, this was an own goal by Kyle Walker, Mark Juff from Stoke. This, for me, is, for Sunday, This is the biggest thing I think that Jose will be concentrating on.
Yep.
Forget Silva, De Bruyne, which he'll have a game plan for, but it's attacking set pieces. With United's height, how much bigger are they than...
6 centimetres per person.
6 centimetres bigger. So, and we just look at the setup. The marking zones,
Yeah.
which I don't particularly like, but when you're a small team, zonal marking is pretty easy to do. But it's these, we'll just take them out, it's these that are the key players.
Yeah.
Aguero, De Bruyne, Silva.
Well, they're the blockers, aren't they?
They're the blockers for the big boys for Huddersfield. They've got to block. They've got to physically block so they can't make this run through. They've got to block so they can't make the run through onto the big boys.
What do you think Sane's job is here?
Is
he just thinking about the counter-attack now? If Ederson picks the ball up, he's off.
He's thinking counter-attack, score a goal at the other end. I'm sure of that, all the short ones.
Because there's nothing else he's really doing there, is there?
If Van der Parra goes for the short one, he could be there for that. But
Would he not be better suited to the edge of the box? What if this gets cleared to the edge of the box?
he's thinking counter-attack. You know, we've talked about it all morning, but he's thinking counter-attack. But what these guys here have got to do, they've got to be physically against the Huddersfield men and block the runs. And we'll take this slowly because it shows this is where the weakness. You see Schindler just gets in front of Kevin De Bruyne. He flicks it on at the near post, and it's slightly fortunate it goes in off Otamendi. This was against Southampton, and again,
They're trying to block, aren't they?
they're trying to block. Again, it's zonal marking. This time, what they've done, they've put Vincent Kompany in that near post area, which I think was a deliberate ploy because maybe they thought there was a weakness there. They've tried to block off again.
No.
Van Dijk gets round the back, and that is an absolute sitter
Yoshida, yeah.
from Yoshida. This is another cross, similar to the Stoke cross that caused them to score the own goal. Long, hopeful ball into the box. Delph, not comfortable at the far post. Buffal crosses it, and Romeo scores.
Talking of crosses, we were looking at the stats, and United actually got the second most per game. Tottenham the most.
Yeah.
And they average 16 crosses a game, United.
Yeah, and this is another corner where it comes in from the same side again, and it's a run across the near post. You see that again. It's Kouyaté and Ogbonna across the near post.
Yeah.
And we've got to highlight Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling's job is to block the run of Mikel Antonio. He doesn't, and he's got to score Antonio. That would have been 2-0 to West Ham.
Same again. Actually,
Again.
it's the same again, isn't it?
And we talked about Sane's position. Sane's there at the near post. He is thinking counter-attack, but he's also thinking maybe short corner as well. But
There's no way they can block this run, though, is there, really?
Silva, Sterling, De Bruyne and Aguero. It's exactly the same four that was at Huddersfield. This is the goal scorer, Ogbonna. He should be blocked, but he's not.
Whose job is it to stop him? I mean, it's Sterling, really, is it?
Sterling now is against him. Now what Sterling's got to do, he's got to physically get against him and block the run into the box. Make sure that he can't make that run round the corner there. As the ball comes into the box,
That was too easy.
it's just far, far too easy. It's a free header. Otamendi doesn't attack it.
Yeah.
And we've had to...
Do you think he'll try and stop United winning? I mean, basically say, don't give corners away. Don't give any stupid fouls away in our final third.
Well, about 10 years ago, I played for Everton. We played Stoke team. They had Rory Delap who could throw it 50 yards into the box. It was almost better than a corner. And for the week before, David Moyes set us up as a back four, threw the ball in behind us. He had a 40-yard area where we weren't allowed to clear it for a corner. Right. So literally we had to play out. It would rather us lose the ball infield than giving it out for a corner because...
Or a throw.
Or a throw.
Yeah.
Because it's so important not to give away corners on Sunday for Pep Guardiola, and that'll be part of his debrief when he talks to his team today.
They've actually been pretty good at not giving up too many chances when they've played against it this season. It's actually the fewest this season, and 27 attempts on target faced in 15 Premier League games, less than 2 a game. Shots on target, frightening that, isn't it?
Well, the hardest thing for Manchester United will be to get a shot on goal, to get a corner, to get a free kick, because Man City have the ball. They have 70-80% possession. They'll control the game. And when you control the game, Man City won't even practice set pieces because they have that confidence in themselves that they won't give a corner. They'll only receive 2 corners a game to defend. So you think to yourself...
But if it is a weakness and it is something that then Pep should be looking at it, shouldn't he?
Well, I would have thought...
And the setup.
Yeah. He'll look at the setup and he'll obviously be thinking, who's going to mark Lukaku? Who's going to block Fellaini if he plays? Who's going to mark Martial or Rashford? Because these are powerful in the air. And the three centre-backs that come up, Rocco, Smalling's who's big in the air. So that'll be a worry for Pep.
Let's go back to the teams and have a little look at how we think it might play out and where is it going to be won and lost.
Well, I mean, we talked before about how do you get Rashford, Martial and Lukaku in the team. The only way I think you can do that is if you go with a back four. You know, if you went with, if you say you took Rocco out the team and then you went something like that, that's the only way I see. That's the only way I see United going absolute gung-ho, going for the jugular, playing three of the quickest men up front.
Will he do that, though? I mean, everyone keeps talking about him parking the bus. Actually, it's probably a little bit unfair because they've actually scored the second most goals to Man City this season.
Yeah, and the only way I think he'll do that is that Man City only have one centre-forward in Aguero. Do you really need three back there? They've obviously you've got the two wide men, Jesus or Sané and Sterling.
Mind you, Pep could spring a surprise and play Jesus and Aguero up top, couldn't he?
Do United actually need three centre-backs? I'm not so sure they do. So they could gamble with that, but it's going to be an absolute tactical battle and a tactical battle of mind games because, look, is Silva going to be fit? If Silva's fit, United have got a problem in midfield. If Silva's not fit, then United can maybe thinking, can we gamble? But you just never know.
With no Pogba, City favourites?
City favourites going to the game, yeah, because the way that they've played, just because the way they've destroyed most teams, and the way last week went. 3 tight games, they won in the last couple of minutes. That would have given massive confidence.
Is it worth me asking you a prediction?
Can I phone a friend? No, look, my worry is it'll be a stalemate, that both teams will be too scared to lose, and that United probably won't have enough to score.
United have to win.
United have to force it. Yeah. I think United have to force it. The last 2 games against Watford and Arsenal, I think there's been a change in mentality from Jose. I hope he continues that on Sunday.
For our next game, everyone likes this, don't they? Try and pick the combined Manchester 11. Who's going to make it out of Man City and United players? I think the goalkeeper, we can probably safe to say, David De Gea in goal.
Yeah, well, I think we're in agreement, but probably the best goalkeeper in the world at this moment in time. So that's even though Ederson, I think's impressed us, I think David De Gea easily wins that one. Back four, I'm going Valencia.
I mean, that's 50-50, isn't it, with Kyle Walker or not? Quite tight?
It's a tight one. It's a real tight one. I think Valencia's a better defender than Kyle Walker. I think Valencia's having a great season at right back. In defence,
this is a joint team, by the way. I did have some input in this as well.
Yeah.
I don't want you to take all the flack.
No. A joint team. Young. I mean, who would have thought that Ashley Young would be left?
Well, I think if Mendy had been, because let's get this right. This is players that are available this weekend. So Pogba's not going to make this. David Silva's not going to make this. John Stones isn't going to make this because there's a number of players, and Mendy as well.
The quality's been diluted this weekend because of injuries and suspension. So if you're talking about 4, it's a tight one at right back. You can flip a coin between Valencia and Walker. I think Vincent Kompany's got to play.
Vincent Kompany has to play.
I think Vincent Kompany has to play. If Stones was fit, I would have probably gone Kompany Stones, probably instead of Jones because of his reliability. And at left back, I would have gone Mendy because he's an out left back.
I think we should say, though, actually, Ashley Young has done brilliantly, hasn't he, at left back? I mean, United are supposedly looking for a left back.
Yeah.
Rose has been mentioned, hasn't he? Luke Shaw did well in midweek in the Champions League, but Ashley Young, to the way he's played in that position.
Has there been a better left back in the last month in the Premier League? I can't think of one. You know, Kolasinac at Arsenal, maybe, Danny Rose, Ben Davis. But I think Ashley Young, and it's not just his performances, it's the way, I think he's just got a little bit of experience. He's been driving up and down that wing. The goals that he scored as well. It's a big game for him. He's going to be up against Raheem Sterling, so it's a big game for him this Sunday. But I think if we was picking a back 4 of the players available, which is important to say, the players available, could we have picked Otamendi? Maybe, but I think Jones and Kompany.
I think probably Jones is a bit more reliable. Than Otamendi. That's why I would go Phil Jones ahead of him. I think I'm with you, though. I think if
Would you have picked Stones?
I think if Stones had been fit, I think the way he's played this season, I think he would warrant a place in that team. So that's the back 4. What's our system then?
The system. Well, we're going to have one holding midfield player. It's a simple. It's Matic or it's Fernandinho.
Well, we're having a bit of a battle over this one, won't we?
Yeah.
I personally, let's take him out.
You going Fernandinho?
I just think the performance, we've shown him a little bit already this season, haven't we, on the show?
Yeah.
And what he brings to the team, his energy, his work rate, his ability on the ball. I think...
Is he better on the ball than Nemanja Matic?
I don't think there's a lot in it, to be honest. I don't think there's a lot in it. I think he gets about the pitch more than Nemanja Matic. I think he's maybe more likely to get you a goal, possibly, as well.
Probably. I think because you give him a Valencia at right back instead of Walker, I'll give you Fernandinho. Because I think you're right. I think
You're so kind.
He's probably a little bit more mobile in terms of his speed and agility in the holding midfield player position. So I'll give you Fernandinho. I think there's very little to choose between them.
Right, next up.
Next what? I'm going De Bruyne.
OK. I think that's an absolute certainty.
Easiest probably decision to make.
Yeah.
De Bruyne. We're going to go a little bit...
Are you going to go that way, are you?
We're going to go 2 in there.
Are you going 4-4-2, are you?
Well, we've got to go 2 wide players.
Yeah.
We've got 2 wide players. I don't see anyone past Silva.
He's taken over now. He's taken over. Sterling on the right-hand side.
Sterling on the right and Sane on the left. Could it be Rashford?
Could it be Martial?
Could it
the
be
form that Martial's in right now?
Martial is in good form. Rashford, who I think is an absolute superstar, I really do.
So we've gone for United at the back, City in midfield.
But we're talking balance. We're talking balance.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sane gives you better balance. Sterling, the goals that he scored have been fantastic. And United don't really play with a wide right player. So it's Sane, Rashford or Martial. We've gone with Sane.
We've said that Stones and Mendy would probably get in.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
If they were available. Silva and Pogba, would they get into that midfield?
We'd have to pick them. We'd have to try and find a system where... Well,
I think Pogba maybe for Fernandinho.
I think you'd probably pull Fernandinho out here and maybe put De Bruyne, Silva and
Pogba
As a 3. As a 3, yeah.
And then
De
3
Bruyne
up
can
top.
play a little bit deeper as well.
And then 3 up top.
And then you got the 3 up top. But now because we've gone 4-4-2,
so now we've only got 2.
We've got 2 centre forwards up top. I'm going to put Romelu Lukaku in. I think his goal scoring, his work rate. I think, and we're saying we're doing it off current form as well. And he's not scoring goals, but I think his performance for the team against Arsenal last week was brilliant.
And then we've got one more: Aguero, Jesus.
Well, who do you think Pep will pick on Sunday between them 2?
I haven't got a clue.
Look, I had a sneaky feeling that he'd go with Jesus because he picked Jesus away at Chelsea. Jesus played really well. But
I think for what he's achieved over the years,
we've got to pick.
Right now, I think you'd have to go Aguero, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we'd have to go.
What do you think? So what does that leave there? That's 6 City players and 5 United players.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still... Do you still want to argue about this one?
No, not really. You said I could have him.
I still think Matic
Can't change your mind now.
Is a stout one. But I think if we were picking a Manchester 11, I think that based on current form, on fitness, I think that is the best team we can pick. We
could argue, couldn't we, till we're blue in the face. That's the players. What about the managers?
What about them?
Who's the gaffer?
Oh. How many people watch this show? No, I think if you was... I'm going to make a statement here.
Go on, then.
If you wanted someone to do one game to save your life, I would pick Jose Mourinho. But if you wanted someone to go out there and entertain you, would pick Pep Guardiola. So it's that difficult a decision. 2 brilliant managers. I think you'd probably have to go with the league leaders in Pep Guardiola at this moment in time, just because of the football that he plays.
I think Eric Cantona actually said that, didn't he? About he quite liked Pep Guardiola as his manager at Man United.
Yeah. Well, you'd love to play under Pep Guardiola because of the football that he plays, but as a defender, I think Jose Mourinho would be my type of manager who would get everybody back behind the ball, good shape, and then a counter-attack type team. So 2 fantastic managers, difficult to choose between them both. And at the end of the day, this is only a little bit of fun.
I suppose the big shame is that we're missing the likes of Pogba and Silva, isn't it? Like you say, and Mendy and Stones, and it just perhaps takes away from it a little bit this weekend.
It's took the edge off it for a little bit.
A little bit.
I want Silva and I want Pogba on this pitch, but we're not going to get it. But it's still going to be an unbelievable game, and this is only just a bit of fun.
It is just a bit of fun. Exactly. It's a cracking game, isn't it? Man United against City. It's 4:30 on Sunday. But it's time for a break now. Yes, so Martin Skrtel, he got 4 in the 2013-14 season. Lewis Duncordy on 3. He could break the record. I reckon you must have scored more than that in a season. Own goals?
I scored an own goal for Everton that won Manchester United the title. That was a famous goal. No, not too many. Not too many.
Well, let's talk about that game. You mentioned Everton going to Liverpool this weekend. Done the Manchester derby, should I say? Merseyside derby as well on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a big day Sunday for the derbies for the 2 cities. It's one of those games as a former Everton player where you think to yourself, how can we get a result? I don't think Everton have won at Anfield since 1999, so it's been so long. Against, if you're taking the last 2 weeks, against probably the most informed side in the Premier League, who are scoring goals out of every position on the pitch. They're playing free-flowing, they're rotating, and they just look like they've got so much confidence. It's such a massive game for Big Sam.
Do you think these are actually better than Man City to watch right now?
At this moment in time, I think they're playing with more freedom. I really do. You think of Man City's week that they had last week, it was tight. Not for Liverpool. They swatted aside 3 teams last week. They had a good draw against Chelsea, and the performance in the Champions League this week was absolutely fantastic.
He's rotating a lot, isn't he, as well, though? He's resting players. We've seen Salah have a spell. You know, Mane missed the game last week against Brighton, didn't get on.
No.
He's been able to take players out. Henderson actually didn't play in the Champions League this week. Does he come straight back into the team or not? He has certainly changed his team around.
He's learnt from what happened last year. Liverpool were absolutely flying up until Christmas last year, but he played the same team. And you know the systems and the way that he likes to play with that high energy press, that it got to January and they started suffering injuries to key players. They started losing games and they lost the rhythm. And I think what he's thought this year is that they've got 11 games in December. They've got to keep everybody fit, but they've got to keep the best players fit. Yeah. Salah, Mane, Firmino,
and they're the ones who have the spells out of the team.
And they're the ones that have, when it gets to December, they're going to have to be fresh. And you look at them at the moment, they're in and out the team, but they look fresh.
Well, Coutinho didn't actually even start the season either,
no.
did he? So they've made 54 changes already this season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Last year, they made 54 in total. So they've already made as many changes as they did the whole of last season. Simply down to Europe, or just more to it, do you think? Klopp learning, maybe?
I think Klopp learning. I think Klopp learning. I think Europe, and they've got a better squad. They didn't have a squad last year. They had 12, 13 players maximum that they could trust on. This year, they've got a good squad, and he's learned his lesson big time. When you get to January, it's important that you have all your players fit, your best players fit and fresh, not shattered after the Christmas period, and he's managing it well.
That's a really good point you make about January, because last season, that was something that was a big problem for Liverpool. Massive dip in January. I know there was circumstances. Mane, I think, was African Cup of Nations, wasn't he? And Coutinho, I think, was out with an ankle problem as well. But the only game they won was in the FA Cup against Plymouth.
I mean, you look at them results, and you can say, there were a lot of cup games in there, but them cup game defeat takes the confidence out of you. I mean, you think to yourself, you lose against Southampton, and then you go and lose against Swansea, you lose against Wolves.
Draws against United and Chelsea.
They're good draws, but that is the month that almost cost them Champions League security last year, and obviously cost them challenging for the league. So he's learnt his lesson. I think it's the injuries to key players that he realises, because he's probably never experienced a Christmas period. Christmas period is brutal. December, the Christmas period, start of January, is brutal. And he realises now that he has to rotate his players. And he's done that last week better than any other manager. Yeah.
Well, I mean, against Brighton last week, interestingly, he played a back three as well. He had Chan and Wijnaldum in the back three. Did he? I mean, he got it right. He got it right simply because they won the game and won it comfortably. But it's not something they'll probably do again, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, there's Wijnaldum, there's Chan. And you think to yourself, why has he played them two at centre-back? Well, you know that Brighton play deep. They play two backs
just
to
one
four.
Up top.
One up top. That's Glenn Murray. So he's gonna realise that maybe Chan and Wijnaldum can control the game from the back, and that is what Liverpool did. To be honest with you, they did control the game. Did they look comfortable in terms of the positioning?
Well, Wijnaldum, you know, you're thinking on that left-hand side, open your body up, play forward. But he was never comfortable on his left-hand side. He always wanted to turn back and go back to his goalkeeper or to his other centre-half.
He's probably never in his career played centre-back before in his life. But I think it was that type of game where Klopp, like he did last week, could rotate, I mean, you look at his position there, just take it back a touch. When you're playing in a back three, you've got to make sure that you're all in line. You look at Wijnaldum there, he's half thinking, let's go to my midfield position.
And yet, really, he needs to be half thinking, if he gets in behind Lovren, I've got to be on the cover.
He's got to cover. But as a midfield player with his midfield, he's looking forward rather than on the cover. So it was a little bit strange to him, but they got away with it. They handled it well. They had a fantastic result. And they had Lovren in the middle.
He did go in as well, didn't he?
He did go
Pascal
in.
Gross.
Yeah. He found it difficult, Wijnaldum.
So he turned it back again.
In possession, playing on that left-hand side, it's a specialist position.
Emre Can's more capable of doing it. He even said afterwards, Wijnaldum, didn't he? He said he felt uncomfortable, didn't really know what he was doing. Emre Can's played in this position before. He's played at right back.
Look, I think he suits him this position. To be honest with you, I mean, he can hit the diagonals like this.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic ball, but he's played in this position before with Germany and with Bayer Leverkusen, his former club. He's got the flexibility, Emre Can.
I mean, they weren't tested last week, were they at all? This three at the back against the Brighton team. He won't play three at the back against Everton, I'm sure.
No, he won't, and he won't against Everton go with Wijnaldum and Can in the back three. But I think what we're trying to show here is the fact that he has got the rotation in him,
yeah.
and he has took risks last week. You know, to leave Salah and Mane and Firmino out of games, I mean, that's fantastic defending there from Wijnaldum. That was Can.
Yeah.
Scored the goal. And they just look like whichever changes they make, it's seamless.
Let's go to the lineups and have a look at the back four then and see what we think he might do. If you're Jurgen Klopp, or you know, how's he going to line up? This is how our stats guys potentially think it might be. Gomez and Milner at left back, Lovren, Klavan at centre back. Can you see any changes to that back four?
Well, every time
Moreno's injured, obviously.
Every time Robertson's played, I've always thought he's played well. But it doesn't seem like he's a fan of Robertson. He played last week
against Brighton. Yeah.
Against Brighton, but it was a game where he did make a lot of changes. I'd actually like to see this. I really would. I'd like to see Lovren and Gomez go into the centre, and I'd like to see Alexander-Arnold come to the right.
Yeah.
I think, look, you've got three English in your back four there. They're all working together. And I'd like to see Joe Gomez play at centre-back now. I'm not a fan of Klavan. I'm not a fan of Klavan.
Well, actually, with Joe Gomez, a bit more pace as well at centre-back against Calvert-Lewin, who we think will probably play up front for Everton.
And they will know each other from the England youth teams. And I think it's a game where, in a Merseyside derby, Sir Alex Ferguson, the Manchester derby, used to always play homegrown players because they had that special feeling. I think with Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, I just wonder whether it's a game where he puts him into the centre-back position.
It's like a broken record here, isn't it? Because we keep saying about them, not sure about them at the back, not sure who's going to play, what's his best for. But up front, it's breathtaking, isn't it?
Breathtaking. And we're talking about counter-attack. We talked about Manchester United being devastated. Liverpool are the best in the league, I think, in terms of direct pace on the counter-attack through... And it's mainly been Salah this season, but I think since Mane's come back in and Firmino, we've seen this goal hundreds of times.
We put a clock on it now, though. I mean, back to front. I mean, this is just frightening, isn't it?
You're talking Olympic sprinting speed.
Yeah.
And look at Mane there catching up. Even Emre Can. And
is Emre Can quick?
Emre Can
realise he was that
powerful.
quick.
He's powerful. He's a powerful runner. This was against West Ham, away from home. I mean, you think to yourself, there now, they shouldn't score from there. But look at the speed. Oxlade-Chamberlain on that right-hand side goes past Winston Reid. Mane's sprinting with the ball faster than I can run without the ball. And Salah, again, is the man that finishes off. And that's 11 seconds.
You've got to be glad you're not playing against them, haven't you?
It's absolutely frightening because you know when you're attacking, you're in danger.
Well, Rio Ferdinand, I think, was asked the question, you know, which team would you least like to play against? And he said it's Liverpool, simply because of their pace.
Yeah, and that's the worry for Sam Allardyce on Sunday, is that how can Everton contain this strike force? That is Brighton. That is Brighton.
Almost scoring.
Almost scoring.
To make it 3-2, I think. At that
and
stage.
Literally, and we've got the clock on it again, they win possession of the ball.
How good is that, though?
And it's two-touch. And you've got a one-on-one.
They don't stop, though, because Firmino's in the build-up. Look at Firmino go again.
It's fantastic.
13 and a half seconds.
It's under 14 seconds from almost conceding a goal to scoring a goal at the other end. And you know what? If you're in a team that can counter-attack like that, it doesn't half take the pressure off you as a defender.
Yeah. Philippe Coutinho scored a great goal against Brighton. Oh, he's scoring plenty of goals, a hat-trick in midweek in the Champions League. Because his analyst at Liverpool said, the walls jump, Brighton's walls jump.
Yeah.
We've had a little look, haven't we? See if the Brighton wall does jump. And this is the evidence.
Well, people say, as part of your backroom team, why do you have so many people in your backroom team? It's for moments like this when you can see the wall jumping again, and he will be studying this. Every time he sees Brighton play, he'll be making a note of this. This is against Arsenal. Xhaka takes the ball, but they jump. And not one team or manager has actually picked up on this.
They jump again.
It's no fluke, this.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, it's easy, you just hit it under the wall. But to actually get that ball under the wall with that accuracy.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that.
It's done with speed.
I mean, it's almost passing that into the back of the net, isn't it?
It is, but do you know what? If you tried that 10 times, it would be very difficult to do all 10 times. Sometimes you get underneath it, sometimes you scud it into the floor. His technique was absolutely sensational. It was It was a brilliant goal because it was studied with beforehand by the analysis man.
I mean, how do they stop that front three?
It's very difficult. Look, will Everton go with a back three? I'm not so sure they will. They will have to defend very deep. You cannot allow the spacing behind, and it's something that Big Sam will be looking at.
Yeah, he certainly will. I'm sure Big Sam Allardyce is doing his homework as we speak. Let's hear from one of his men, Gylfi Sigurdsson, their record signing. We caught up with him this week.
We kind of weren't performing as well as we should have been, personally and collectively as a team. I think we were just far from our best, but hopefully we've managed to turn it around, and we're kind of finding the right track or finding the right gear, both individually throughout the team and as a team as well. I think he hasn't had many training sessions with the full squad because of the game on Wednesday and the game on the weekend. But he's definitely got the experience of Premiership football. He knows what he's doing. He's very aware of the stats for the teams and for the players. And I think he looks really well after the players to get the best out of them on a match day. All of the players are looking forward to the game, and if we can build on what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks, it would be great to continue that with another positive result on Sunday. We know how big this is for the people in the city, and it matters a lot for the fans that we get a good performance, hopefully leading into a good result.
It's been a slow start to life at Goodison, hasn't it, for Gylfi Sigurdsson? Have we seen signs of improvement the last few weeks?
It's been a poor start from Gylfi Sigurdsson. He had a horrendous pre-season, didn't play any games. He came, the team wasn't in the best of form. He's played under two managers, but the last couple of games he scored against Southampton, even though they lost 4-1, and he scored against Huddersfield. So I think his confidence is now coming back to him. He was a really good player for Swansea. I think the problem is that he didn't have a pre-season, and Everton spent an awful lot of money on him, and there was instability within the club.
A clean slate now that Sam Allardyce has come in as well, new manager, new ideas.
Yeah, and I think Sam, with the way that he likes his teams to play, will like Gylfi Sigurdsson. He's a brilliant set-piece delivery. And what Sam's done since he's come in, he's brought a little bit of solidity to the team. The biggest thing is bringing Rooney back into a deeper role, but he's almost just got them set up in basic 4-1-4-1 and doing the simple jobs well, which they do. And they're defending a lot better in the last two games. Two wins, they're in the top half of the table now, so confidence is back up.
Is this how you see Sam Allardyce setting his team up? I mean, the other option maybe is to bring Schneiderlin in as well alongside Gay and be a bit more defensive, possibly.
Well, I think we'll put Schneiderlin in there. I think Big Sam in his teams has always had a 6'4" person sat in front of his back four for long balls to win the headers. You know, you think of Enzonzi at Blackburn, you think of the boys at
Campo at Bolton.
Milivojevic,
he signed at Palace.
Kouyaté, Yedlin.
Kirchhoff at Sunderland.
Jedinak at Crystal Palace as well. So Schneiderlin will come back into it. He's playing in the Europa League tonight, but I think he's got to go with Davis because Davis has played in the last two games. Yeah. And that has basically been the setup. It's a small team. Sam Allardyce's team notoriously are big. They're 6'4" type players. It's a small team, but there just seems a better framework to the team, a better system to the team, and more confidence.
Yeah, let's have a look at the defence then and see exactly what he's done since he's taken over in terms of the tactics. I mean, because for you, it's about that back four and narrowing off and getting them tight together.
Yeah, look, I think if you just take it forward just a touch here, and once the ball goes past them, they get into sort of like this is the back four.
Yeah, but distances are pretty good, aren't
they? And they're tight. Obviously, Martina's got to get tight to his man. This man sat in midfield is always there to protect. Yeah. And you've got the two in front.
Rooney and Davis,
and the two wide. And you've got Calvert-Lewin up front. So basically, that is the system that Sam has gone with right from the off. I think it suits Rooney. Yeah. Which we'll talk about in a minute. But you've got almost a back five plus Idrissa Gueye.
Yeah, good shape again.
Good shape again. And it's the back four. The back four, when it gets into there, look how tight they are. The back four. Look how tight them three are. Obviously, Martina on the left has got to get as tight as to his men.
I think one of the problems for them has been a lack of communication at times, and I think it's notable already. You can see Williams talking a bit more, Holgate alongside him, chatting. I think even Kenny at right back.
Yeah.
There's a bit of organisation now, pulling people into position.
Well, it looks like they've worked on it.
Yeah.
It looks like they've worked on it. You can tell they've worked on it because of the distances that they've
Martina
got.
pointing as well.
Again, there's the system. There's exactly the system that we're talking about.
Perfect, isn't it?
You've got the back four, really good shape. You see that they're in a straight line. You've got Idrissa Gueye sat in front, and the four in midfield. They're almost like mannequins in terms of the distances, the right distances between each other.
The thing with Sam Allardyce as well is he wants to play forward quickly, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Koeman, it was more of a possession-based game. I think they're looking to, if they can, to get forward at the earliest opportunity. And what they've got as well now, I think, is runners.
Yeah.
You've got pace in the team. So Aaron Lennon and Calvert-Lewin have both got great pace to stretch teams and get you up the pitch, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, I think when you look at this already, look at the body shape of Aaron Lennon and Calvert-Lewin. They're not wanting it to feet.
They're ready to go.
John Joe Kenny is just saying, I'm going to put that ball in there, you've got to run.
Yeah.
And it's straight away. So it's actually, Sam would have said on the training ground, look, when that ball goes to the fullback and he's got time on the ball, you just run forward. And this, you can say it's a good ball, it's an outstanding ball because it puts Huddersfield on the back foot and they win a corner. And that's what...
They're not a big team, are they? I think,
No.
you know, when you look at them, they're not I mean, Holgate and Williams at centre-back aren't the biggest partnership. I mean, probably Keane and Jagielka actually would be bigger, wouldn't they? The two
Yeah,
of
I
them?
think Michael Keane would make them bigger. Normally, Sam, this man here sat in midfield, he would be the
That's
one
your
that would
key.
be... Yeah,
That's why you think Schneiderlin's going to get a go, don't
Yeah,
you?
because he would be challenging for this ball, and Ashley Williams would probably just stay in his slot there and stay with the runner. He actually goes up for the header.
Loses it.
He flicks it on, and Everton are on the back foot. I think you'll see a big change in the next 2 or 3 weeks with the personnel that Sam is playing in the back
A
four.
more dominant aerial.
More dominant, more assured, and bigger. This is, again, gets into wide areas, and Everton now are defending
Getting bodies
properly.
around the ball, aren't they?
How many times in the Premier League now do you see full-backs let crosses in from that area?
Too
It is
often.
my biggest bugbear. From that area, they think, oh, well, I'm not a full-back, I don't need to stop crosses.
Well, closing down, he's not from 10 yards away.
No.
Closing down from 2 or 3 yards away and getting the head down, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the goal that they scored. And what happened here is that they're in good positions to win back.
Yeah.
They're all in good positions. They're
Ready to
higher
put
up the
these-
field.
yeah.
They're more organised. You see a better organisation. They lose the first one, they get the second one. And then look at the Everton players there in the attacking third.
Yeah. Lovely little flick as well.
Lovely flick. And there's a little bit of a swagger coming back now to those players. And the enjoyment, you see Duncan Ferguson there. They just look a lot happier and more settled, and that's a massive thing.
Wayne Rooney, a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
You touched on it already. That simple? That's why he's performing better, do you think?
Yeah, it's that simple in a nutshell, because he's probably played in 5, 6 different positions. Look at the time he's got on
I've
the
got
ball.
to say, I mean, he's not going to get that time in the Merseyside derby, is he?
He's
going to
not.
have people on him, surely.
He's not, but he'll also get more time than playing in the number 10 position in centre forward.
Yeah,
I think his
understand
days
that.
as centre forward have gone. That was his pass through to Sigurdsson. And you think here, and I'm going to
See there,
highlight
I mean-
Sigurdsson. That is where Rooney played at the start of the season.
Well, we kept saying they had 3 number 10s.
They had 3 number 10s. You think of Klassen as well in there.
Yeah.
But Rooney and Sigurdsson were playing under each other's
The same
feet.
job.
Now, look at the distance. Rooney playing the pass now to Sigurdsson.
Yeah.
And Rooney getting it off the back four is something. And playing passes like that, there's no player in the Everton team can play that pass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's Cesc Fabregas-like the way he gets it. And he has got this ability, because he's got Idrissa Gueye behind him, to run from deep into the box, time his run.
Yeah.
And what you've got somebody that scored 7 goals already for Everton.
This is just a great goal as well, isn't it?
It's the goal. It's the goal of the season. The goal of the season. It's from deep, and what he can do now is he can almost save energy during the game by playing deeper.
Is there any way you can see him playing up front again?
No.
Or starting up front again?
I
You
wouldn't
think
play him.
that's it now? You think it's as simple as that?
I
That's
wouldn't
his
play him
position?
up front again. I would play him in these positions, playing it, and actually the one that's making the assist rather than the one that's running in behind it. I think his days as centre forward have finished, really. Even playing in wide areas. And Big Sam, when he got the England job, put him into midfield, and I think he's done it the same again.
13 Premier League games it is for Everton without a win against Liverpool. Can you see that changing at all?
I'd love to say yes, but having watched Liverpool the last few weeks, I cannot see how they can keep a clean sheet. And with that team that I see, I don't know how they can score a goal, because I think they'll be playing that deep, and I think they'll find it hard to get out. Look, these games are normally won in the first 20 minutes. And I think that Liverpool, if they come out the traps and score an early goal, it's going to be a long afternoon for Everton.
Would you give them more chance if say, it was at Goodison?
Yes, I would give them more chance if it was at Goodison. I've been to Anfield with an Everton team, and I think there is a little bit of trepidation and fear there. Like I say, it's 1999 since Everton last won there. Eventually, they've got to win a game there, and that's what Sam will be saying. So eventually, we have to win here. So it's a free hit for them. And I think for all those supporters that weren't sure about Big Sam Allardyce, I think if he wins at Anfield, I think he changes their opinion.
So what is your prediction? I can't see beyond Liverpool.
No, I can't see beyond Liverpool. I can't see beyond the attacking strength that they've got. I think it'd be too much. The speed against Williams and Holgate, I think it'll be too much for Everton.
Looking forward to it, though. That's the second of the derbies on Sunday, Liverpool against Everton.